Here on my left is Hongik University, there in the distance. That means it's time for Hongdae.
I was worried about Hongdae because this is my home ground. It's where I spent the last 7 years in Korea. It's where I spent my first time drinking soju and eating barbecue. I even met my wife here.
This is the place where I first kissed my wife.
But now that the time to explore Hongdae on a deeper level has arrived, I have suddenly realized that I might not know Hongdae as well as I did like to. Of course, I know the people, the clubs and the mudcheeps. But how did Hongdae become what it is today? Well, with help from Jon, Trash, Han and a few former Hongik students, it's time to find out. Let's do this.
I am here with Jon Dunbar. You may recognize him from the 81 video. And today he's going to show us a big part of Hongdae. Jon, why are we standing here?
Okay, well, when you think about Hongdae, most people think the most important thing about it is arts or tourism or, if you're older, live music. But the very most important thing that this whole neighborhood is built on, every development that came to its culture is because of rail infrastructure. We're standing on the former tracks of the Gyeonggi Line. One of the first train lines opened in Korea. It went from Seoul up to Siniju.
Siniju in North Korea, right?
Yeah, in North Korea, border
right.
town. It was actually a front at the time for the Japanese war effort in the Sino-Japanese War of 1904-1905. This area was seeing a lot of freight trains just piling through here, carrying all sorts of things that they needed for their colonial efforts. So this neighborhood became just that. Lots of trains all the time, really unpleasant. So at one point there was a line that curved off the path here, we'll see it up there, that went over towards the river where there was the country's first thermal power plant being built.
Wow, that explains why the street where we're standing is called Tang Tang Kori. It refers to the ringing sound which alarmed nearby people for passing trains. It must have been a noisy place to live. What fascinates me is how this little deviating train track to the thermal plant has carved the shape of the most famous street in Hongdae today.
So if you walk all the way from Hongdae towards the Han River, you'll find a little park, a new park in Dangidong. Apparently this is where the train used to go, the little train to supply the power plant, like the new one here on my right and the old one here on my left. They're now demolishing it. So if you walk all the way to the end of the park, you get a view of Yeouido, but also a view of the nice road in front of you with all the cars. What wasn't here before is the small elevator going down. Now you can access Han River from Hongdae, which is nice.
But apparently the Gyeonggi Line is not the only train track that has shaped Hongdae. It's probably the best example of the power of infrastructure.
A very important thing about all the changes is the opening of new train lines. A major thing that turned the area into the start of what we know today was 1984 when Hongdae Station opened on Line 2. And at that point, it started to become more of a cultural zone.
But mostly for Koreans still, right?
Oh yeah, but this was an area where Koreans would go to explore their interest in youth culture, particularly Japanese, which was a little forbidden. By the early 1990s, there were actually a lot of articles talking about, Korean youths are getting too obsessed with Japanese youth culture in Hongdae. The mid-90s, they started to have a lot more of their own culture. The area really started changing around the time of the World Cup 2002 and the opening of Line 6, which also helped foreigners learn more about it because it's a subway station from Itaewon to Hongdae, basically.
Right.
And it blew wide open in around 2009, 2010 with the opening of the airport line.
So direct line from the airport.
It's clear that the development of subways and trains has given Hongdae a little push in the back. But what is Hongdae exactly? A complicated question. Hongdae is the university, an abbreviation of Hongik the Hakyo that most people who go to Hongdae never go to. But the name Hongdae applies to everything around the area, and in my opinion mainly to Seokyeodong, Dongyeodong, Yeonnam-dong, Sangsu-dong and Dangidong. To some also Hapjeong-dong, but I rather cover this area separately.
So you've probably heard of Hongdae's famous playground?
Yes.
This is not it. This is another one called Jandari Park. Jandari is a name that reflects the amount of bridges in the area. So let's think again about some of the names of places around here. We've got Dongyeodong,
Seokyeodong.
Seokyeodong, East and West, Bridge, Dong. The whole area is named after this feature of the area. It used to have plenty of streams and lots of bridges over them.
It's hard to imagine that there were a lot of streams going down, right?
Oh, yeah.
In these areas.
So, the streets and shapes of Hongdae are formed by train tracks and streams. And now we understand that, it's time to dive into the cultural world of Hongdae. Maybe you didn't know, but Hongdae was a cultural enclave for live music in the mid-1990s. Jon was an early witness, but his friend Trash, from the band whatever that means, has seen it from the very beginning.
So,
So try show me the photo where you can see the white wall.
So this is a white wall, and then this is a still same brick.
Oh yeah, clean and white and clean.
Yes.
What is this?
We are standing in front of a live music venue that right now is called Bender, but it has the most history of any live music venue in Korea. In 1994, a little cafe opened in the basement of this building called Drug. At that time, the punk scene was starting to, come into being. There were bands like Crying Nut and No Brains that were forming here. In 2002, Crying Nut became a household name across the country. They had performed for the World Cup. Everybody knew who they were. They went into the military at the end of the year, and Drug was suddenly on its own. They had other bands, but nothing to really keep the torch going.
At some point, Drug moved out and another live venue, Skunk Hell, moved in 2005. Run by Won Jong-hee, the lead vocalist of the street punk band Rugs. If that doesn't ring a bell, you may have heard of the Music Camp incident in 2005. Rugs performed live on Music Camp, a weekly NBC music show. Then suddenly, Rugs, knowing nothing, two guests on stage, one member from Couch and another from Spiky Breads, took off their clothes and exposed... Well, you can see for yourself.
If you had to name the two most important clubs in Korean punk history, they were both here.
As luck has it, we get to see Rugs perform live in a newly opened venue, Victim, not far from here.
Rocks, Spiky Breads, Pogo Attack. So
Okay.
we're all different bands all together.
But so Hongdae has changed a lot, right, over the last decades?
It changed a lot because we got old.
Although a lot less than the mid-1990s and early 2000s, there are still indie music venues in operation. We got the famous Club FF.
No hip hop, no EDM, no pop, 100% rock.
Yeah.
DJing. It's funny how they convince the people of all the rock artists. Just in case you don't know what rock is.
Or a big stage like Wallinghall.
Since 1995.
But my personal favorite is one located in Sangsu-dong. And my good friend Hongik Kim is the perfect person to show me.
What's up? How's it going?
All good. Is it recording?
It's recording.
Okay. Hi, yes, my people. It's me from Han. Yeah, representing Korean beat guy. Yeah, from Hongdae. 웰컴투마이동.
Hey guys, this is Han Kim, friend of mine, and whenever I think about Hongdae, there's only one person that pops to my mind, and it's
How
Han
many
Kim.
times you talk about this comment for everybody?
Every one of the guys.
Like,
No.
This is it.
Here we are.
Yeah, producing Jebi Dabang.
Jebi Dabang.
Yeah, but you can see the Korean Hangul. 취한 제비 means drunken 제비. 제비 is the bird. For a program tonight is 16th of February. You're gonna see 김일두 선생님. 여기는 제 친구 바트고요.
네.
만나서 반갑습니다.
네, 만나서 반갑습니다.
He is first or second generation of Korean indie rock. If we say Jebi Dabang is the landmark, 또박이 chicken.
My favorite. 100% my favorite. Hunje chicken, the smoked chicken.
As said before, most people who visit Hongdae don't visit the university. So let me do that for you instead.
But we cannot cover Hongdae without covering Hongik the Hakyo, the university here on my right. So I am on my way to meet 3 students, former students.
Hongik University's founding dates back to 1946 and it opened the doors for many aspiring artists. The cheap rent at the time made it much easier for artists to make Hongdae their home. Homi Art Shop is a true symbol of this art era, as the stationery shop has been artists' #1 go-to place since 1975. I know because my artist wife occasionally drags me in.
My name is Kajin Kim, and my major was sculpture and Hwia's, and now I am an artist by Hwia. Hi, I'm Jin. I studied sculpture too, so we studied both together. So
So I heard that it has to be 영원한 미소, which is the eternal smile. So, but that was symbolizing the soul, you know. But now it's like middle finger.
When you enter campus. The campus is a crazy maze that students call Hogwarts. A wordplay between Hongik and Harry Potter's Hogwarts. One building's first floor can be another building's sixth floor. Thinking you're in the basement, but no, you're actually on the 10th floor of another building. I wish freshmen good luck.
Always out college is the old building, and sculpture gets the oldest.
Why is that?
Because we're dirty. So messy.
What the hell is that? You see that?
이거 네 거 아니야? 네, 저 수빈이 거. 누구? 수빈이 거. 수빈이 거? It was made like 12 years ago. Like named Subin.
Yeah.
Made this like 10 years ago. Like there were 35 students in our year, and I think 8 of us decided to remain as artists. And
Wow.
actually, that is quite high rate. Yeah.
Wow. Well, why? How does that happen?
Because artists are poor.
That's right. It's not, in all honesty, the prettiest campus, but my joy was definitely all the hidden dumped art pieces all over the place, making it the world's biggest uncurated art exhibition.
Here we go. My first rooftop in Hongdae.
The reason why it's fun to explore with my friend Jon is that he knows of places no one else knows.
We made it. Why did we run?
Places that offer a different perspective on areas that are familiar only from ground level.
That's a sight I've never seen before.
That's from above. This is the Dangani line route.
This is where the little train went to the thermal plant.
Exactly, and you can see the thermal plants stacked directly at the end over there.
Oh yeah, right.
So anyway, you asked about these little buildings below here. This whole structure has been collectively named Sogyo Samyugo, Sogyo 365. I don't know the reason for the name, but I do know that they claim that these buildings date back to the Japanese occupation when they were directly adjacent to the train tracks. A lot of people claim that these were residences for rail workers.
One landmark that almost everyone familiar with Hongdae knows is the playground. And again, this place isn't what it used to be. It was a hangout for specific groups or subcultures, if you will.
Some b-boying and djembe, punks always drunk over there.
Yeah.
Puke over there.
Some booze, whiskey, hangover pills. You find everything here.
So in 2002, this was a wild place. There was no paving or anything. This is before my time. The Korean punks would gather here and everybody else was, from what they say, afraid to come here. So check this out. This washroom here is kind of notorious for being dirty and covered in graffiti. If you look through here, there's a plaque covered over with paint. You might just be able to make out that it was Seoul Best Toilet 2002.
What an honor.
After that, it was all downhill.
Today, it's difficult to imagine, but Hongdae was a bit rougher around the edges, as trash recalls her battles for playground.
I remember 2 fights. I was a medic back then. All the punks gather here, like I said, it was a kind of casual. It didn't say anyone like let's go Norita, and then, but like people just gather naturally. I don't know, somehow we always fighting with the hip hop people. I saw like few crew about like bling bling thing, and then like we're the like spikes, and then somehow just like it's like bored. I'm bored, and let them get them. Bit the shit out of them. At one point, it was big fight. It got huge fight. It was like 20 versus 20 or whatever.
That happened here or somewhere else?
Here.
Oh, right here?
Yeah, here. And then we were actually like drinking like more than 20 people that drank here.
Then all of a sudden, I met the Makgeolli Man. You haven't been to Hongdae if you haven't seen Makgeolli Man. No one, and I really mean no one, knows his story, but we all love him. I love you. Let's try and get some information.
홍대 어때요?
홍대
네.
마음 최고의 마음이
네.
어떻게 뭐 피플 TV에 되겠습니다.
이거.
김태소
저희 뭐야?
홍대에서 오래 일하셨어요?
네, 오래됐습니다.
언제부터요?
3, 40년 어릴 때부터 했으면 비밀로 하세요.
See, it's always a secret.
나이는 높으면 티네이저입니다 아직도.
아,
오늘 제이드맨 감사합니다.
오늘 젠틀맨 파이팅!
One thing we know for sure, he is top fit. If the rumors are true and he is super rich, then he definitely deserves it. Hongdae's art and music scene has changed a lot. Even though most of the changes started and happened before my time, I too have seen Hongdae change a lot. It's been gentrifying into the Times Square of Korea. Mainstream clubs have become the norm, streets are rebranded, and K-pop, a lot of K-pop.
In the 2000s, Hongdae was the area of live music. It was the one part of the country where you could go to find music that was not K-pop. This was always the best location, the most centric part of Hongdae. And most of the live music venues were a bit of a walk away. The only exception really was Club Spot, and it became a K-pop coin norebang. There used to be a bar here,
Yeah.
and the stage was over here, and the bathrooms were over.
Oh, that's quite a big club then, huh?
Yep, same bathroom.
Is there still space for the subcultures it was so well known for?
In Hongdae, we have every single kind of culture, but for each culture by one place. Afrobeats,
Afrobeat, she's preparing.
yeah, street punk ska, Afrobeats, come up to the south floor. This is the only place.
The only place.
Only place.
When did Hongdae's centralized indie culture started to fade? What was the turning point? John might have the answer to that question.
All right, so we're now in like the main street connecting Hapjeong Station with Hongdae Station, and something significant has happened here.
Well, it's a lot more developed than when I first came here for sure. Right over here there used to be a three-story building, and on the ground floor was a restaurant that specialized in kalguksu noodles called Duriban. It was run by a woman named An Jong-ya, and she is married to an author named Hwia. One day, it was December 24, 2009, they were serving customers as usual, Christmas Eve, when a bunch of hired goons came in, tore the place apart, physically kicked the workers and the customers out into the street and put up metal shutters in front of it.
No way.
This is just how they evicted people back then. The next day, An Jong-ya came back and she tore down those metal shutters and went inside and occupied the building. And that was the start of a 521-day sit-in protest.
Wow.
Yeah. Since it was in Hongdae and her husband had all these artistic connections and everything, a lot of artists started showing their support. In particular, the music scene was facing being priced out of the Hongdae neighborhood. So Duriban, they came up with the idea that the top floor, which was vacated, would be a place for musicians to practice or put on shows. They had suddenly a whole bunch of Hongdae musicians backing them, marching through the streets. At one point in the kind of vacant lot behind over here, they organized what was called the 51 Plus Festival. Got that name for two reasons. It was on May 1st, 5-1, and they had over 51 bands playing, just in an empty lot, 50 meters from here. They managed to get a resettlement package. Duriban moved out and is now in another location in Hongdae. The Duriban Protest that made a lot of the music scene leave Hongdae and become less centralized. We used to say like Hongdae musicians. That term doesn't really exist anymore.
Duriban, the restaurant, is still in Hongdae, run by the same owner who was amid the sit-in protest known to be the turning point for Hongdae's indie music scene.
옛날 그 다른 장소, 누리반 장소, 그때 그리워요?
싸울 때가 그리웠어요. 그때 홍대 클럽에서 활동하는 뮤지션들이 200밴드가 넘었어요. 200개가 넘는 밴드가 두리반 싸우는데 와서 공연을 했어요.
네.
존 돈바도 그때 와서 같이 이렇게 그 기획을 하고 공연 이렇게 하고 같이 어울려서 놀고 그랬지요. 그때가 좋았어요.
If you have a plain Greek yogurt, you can put more flavor.
Yeah.
Easy to mix with something.
Uh-huh.
Before Hongdae, it's not a plain Greek yogurt. Before Hongdae was very straight, but now it's pretty flat for everybody.
Hongdae is a fast evolving area where the borders slowly spread out and absorb more and more. In this street I lived for a couple of years. It's my favorite street in Sangsu part of town. where things feel less commercialized and quiet yet lively enough. Restaurants are just good, and many of the owners once ran their business in downtown Hongdae, but due to higher prices they moved to the outer areas. I have nothing but good memories, and even within all the commerce, Hongdae has always welcomed me with open arms. I also can't help but look nostalgic at the earlier years I spent here, like Trash John and Han. The guest house I spent my first months is now a freaking photo booth. The earlier days were better, but here's the thing. We have all experienced Hongdae in different years, and all of us kinda missed the first time we set foot here. The K-pop lovers today in Hongdae will probably look back at Hongdae years from now, saying it was much better. Maybe Hongdae was always better yesterday. Welcome to my dong. Howdo.
When we had a wedding, my church brother, he was opening pray, and then he didn't know my real name. Introduced myself at the church, but my name is Trash. Like, oh shit, we didn't let him know about my name. It was like Trash.